Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Friends Occasionally Not Disagreeing, all of our fondlers and fondlings out there. This is Cody here today, and I am with two of our favorite hosts tonight. Fuck those other guys. We got Dave and Joe
Yeah.
here with us tonight, so very
Woo!
exciting.
America's favorite podcast host. Thank you.
Yes, Dave's here, and also Joe. We are here tonight to talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we'll get to that in just a second. Let's see what these guys have been up to recently. So, Dave, what have you been up to? I've been
Wait,
spending your time.
this is another album exchange?
Oh boy.
Maybe.
What do you got? Whip it out.
Oh man. No, never mind. What have I been enjoying
We
lately?
already
I
talked
don't
about Nevermind on the Nirvana podcast or Nirvana versus Foo Fighters
Oh, that's a long time
podcast.
ago.
uh I didn't come prepped with something that I'm into lately. I've just been fucking working. So I don't have anything this time.
No games, no TV
Um
shows, no movies.
Everyone should subscribe to Dropout. Every show on the Dropout streaming service is incredible.
What
So
is that?
What is that?
it's a streaming service that rose from the ashes of College Humor. Um, got kind of put put things in a different direction where it's all it's a lot of improv, a lot of short form improv, and it's really just super fun stuff. Their flagship show is actually not so improv. It's called Game Changer, and every episode is a different style of game show. And so when the contestants show up, they don't know what they're going to be doing or what's going on. And it's just a super fun channel. The you get a lot of the same people on the on the different shows together, so you kind of get to know them. And it's just a liberal utopia in terms of like everyone's using
Fake
pronouns,
news.
everyone's respecting each other's choices and just having fun. And it's like, can't everyone just be this happy all the time? But no, people
Sounds
gotta stir shit.
downright
So
anti-American to me, you commie.
anyway, if you go on YouTube and go to the Dropout channel, there's a bunch of stuff that they make available for free, and that'll be a good sample of what you can get from the streaming service, which is super cheap and like my absolute favorite streaming service to give money to because I feel like they're doing good stuff with it.
Hmm, nice.
Interesting. That sounds cool.
Yeah. Mr. Joe, what have you been up to? What
Oh
what random
man.
thing in your house that you didn't know was there hurt you this week?
Oh, so many things. Mostly just my own psyche. Uh I have a couple things I want to shout out. Briefest of them, I have I hope I didn't mention this on the last episode I was on. I had brain surgery, so I tend to forget things.
Oh my God, with this again.
I've been revisiting one of my all-time favorite video games, which is The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Um, which I started trying. It's kind of hard to get on like modern hardware, except for PC. I actually had started trying to play a streaming version of the PS3 port through the PlayStation Online subscription situation,
Hmm.
but it's terrible. And I subsequently read that the PS3 version is kind of notoriously terrible. Um, the reason I had not tried to play it on PC is that I am a weirdo who, even for PC games, but prefers a controller over a keyboard and mouse. But I managed to find a way to patch the PC Steam version to allow me to use a controller, and it's amazing. It looks great, and it's still probably my favorite of all the Bethesda RPGs. So check it out if you never have. Also, wanted to give a shout out to a very strange movie that my wife and I watched a couple nights ago, which was actually made by the same people who made a movie I've mentioned previously on this podcast, Hundreds of Beavers,
Oh God.
which like I am dead serious. If you guys have not watched Hundreds of Beavers, you should. It's like just one of the most unique movies I've ever seen. It's a lot of fun. It actually employs a lot of like video game logic, like the way the hero's kind of quest is shown is like literally kind of a video game overworld, and I don't know, it's a lot of fun. Even my wife
Cool.
loved it, and she's usually not into as weird stuff as I am. But this weekend we watched a movie that was made a few years prior to Hundreds of Beavers
10
called
beavers.
Lake Michigan Monster.
What?
This is a film that was made in 2018 by largely the same crew that made Hundreds of Beavers on a much lower budget of just $7,000, which for anyone keeping track at home is $20,000 less than Kevin Smith made Clerks for.
Wow.
And that was literally 30 years ago that he did that. But this movie's messy, but it's fun and interesting. It's streaming on Amazon Prime right now, so you don't have to pay for it as if you have a Prime Video membership. But I would recommend checking this one out. It's really cool seeing what they did with the budget. It's kind of a lot of wacky, slapsticky humor. The visual style is actually similar to Hundreds of Beavers. It's black and white, and they kind of, in order to stretch their budget, they mix in a lot of like what looks like hand-drawn animation kind of into things. I don't know how to describe it, but the visual style is cool. And support weird little fun movies.
Cool.
All right. You
That's all I'm going to mention and not get into mental health stuff this week.
Okay. Very good. Good. Well, my quick plug on this podcast, I'll say by the time this episode is dropping, I will be not here, but I will be in Japan.
Oh,
So that's going to be a fun experience for me, as we're going to go off as a family and do some Tokyo Disney and Studio Ghibli Park, and also probably have sex with Hayao Miyazaki, so Joe can have jealousy with that.
all I ask is that you live stream it.
I will. I heard there's a boy in here involved, also it's going to get weird, but yeah, what else? I don't know. Just Mario Land we're going to go do. We're going to hike Mount Fuji and do some other things, so pretty excited for that, and a little family trip for us, so that's what I got going on here by the time you guys will be listening to this in your ear holes. All right. Well, let's get into this proper here today. We are talking about essentially the future of the MCU. It's a little bit different than perhaps most of our topics we do, because this is just kind of a open forum, I suppose, as opposed to a particular focus topic, but we are talking about all things MCU today, and I want to start off by taking a look at the release schedule we have coming up here for the MCU, and then we could maybe chat on a few of these. But as we all know, anybody who's watched these Marvel movies since the beginning and they started to be popular, Marvel has kind of sketched out timelines of when things are going to come out. And I think a combination of COVID was maybe their first bump in the road with this release schedule, and then the launch of Disney Plus kind of maybe affected this a little bit, mixed with some business with Mr. Jonathan Majors. We can talk about that in a little bit also, but they're kind of been rearranging things here and there in the schedule. So movie-wise, some of the next ones we have coming out are Deadpool, which is their only film they have this year, which is kind of interesting for the
I
MCU.
believe you mean Deadpool and Wolverine.
Sure, Deadpool and Wolverine, yes. That's coming out here in July, about a month from when we're recording this, a little quicker than that from when this will air. And then we have Captain America Brave New World, which is just testing amazingly with test audiences right now. Then
I'm
we have
assuming that's sarcasm. I haven't seen anything about that.
early reports are not good, but we'll see. Thunderbolts, it's a movie, kind of an ensemble piece, almost like Suicide Squad, with Yelena and Red Guardian, Ghost, U.S. Agent, Taskmaster, Winter Soldier, and they're going to bring Sentry into the MCU. Then we have Fantastic Four happening after that. That's a property most people probably will know. It hasn't been in the official MCU yet. And then past that, we kind of have like this wasteland of ideas and release dates out there. We have a Blade movie that is mentioned as possibly a thing, but then I heard they lost the star for that. We have the Avengers Kang Dynasty movie, which was supposed to be kind of like their next big tentpole project, but I think that is kind of up in the air a little bit more now with everything
I mean,
involved
I'm sure we'll
there.
talk about it, but do we know that it is actually still, they're still, as of now, planning to call it King Dynasty?
Wikipedia lists it just as Avengers 5.
I don't think we know that is the answer to your
I would be
question.
very surprised if that is actually the title of the movie, but we
To
can
me, it
talk
There's
kind of
about
still
really, well, we could talk about it more, but I think it's going to really depend on what they do with that character.
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to like recast him or try to salvage that, then maybe, but I don't know. And then we have supposedly an Armor Wars movie somewhere far out there that was supposed to be a TV show and then it got moved, and who knows if it's going to happen. And then we have Avengers Secret Wars, which was supposed to be Avengers 6, which was going to end this whole multiverse phase of 4, 5, and 6 for the MCU. I don't know what's going to happen with that now. Kind of depends on what happens in the movie before that. And then there's some rumor of a Nova movie or show, question mark. Nova's a character who has also not been in the MCU, but they had the Nova Core. The planet was destroyed off screen. Still one of the weirder decisions I think they've made in the MCU. Xander was destroyed. Then we
Yeah.
have a couple TV shows coming up here. Most first to come up, I guess, is Agatha All Along, which is in September. We can talk about this one a little bit too. This is also a weird one to me. And then supposedly somewhere down the pipeline here, we have Ironheart, based on the character Riri Williams in, what was she in? Was that what movie
Black
was that?
Panther.
Black Panther 2, yeah.
Wakanda Forever, yeah.
Wonder Man, which is a character we haven't seen yet, which I heard is supposed to be a sitcom, apparently. I don't know about that. Some sort of Wakanda show, and then also another loose end out there. White Vision is out there someplace for a show called Vision Quest. I don't know where he's at as well. And then we have Daredevil Born Again. That one is basically filmed and shot and ready to go. So excited for that one as well. So that's where we're at. Everybody go watch all those. And that's the end of our podcast. Thanks for joining us tonight. It was fantastic to have all of you here. Joe spoke very little. Appreciate it all. Now let's start at the beginning though. You guys want to talk about Deadpool? This one may be a little more relevant to us tonight since it's coming up here real quick.
I believe you mean Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine and various other mutants.
Listen, I will not stand for this Hugh Jackman erasure. Also,
Yes.
I feel like the Wolverine half of it is very important for the future of the MCU, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, this is going to be big because, we've had the two Deadpool movies already, but they were Fox properties. And now that we're bringing that character, and I imagine that universe, but we'll see how that's going to play out with the multiverse into the MCU proper. That's interesting because no matter what and how the MCU did, I think for the last decade plus, they always knew that they could have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four out there yet as something new they could try, which I think is a big, what do you want to say, a big card in their pocket, I guess, that they could have to play if they wanted to later on. And we're getting to the point now where the X-Men universe is going to be integrated, it seems like, right into the MCU. I guess my questions for you guys are just how important do you think this movie is going to be to the MCU's current success? And then, do you think this is the right time for the X-Men to be coming into the MCU?
I'll go first. The answer is no.
What?
No, so I enjoy the Fox X-Men movies. They made some decisions that were good. They made some decisions that were very poor. Overall, I like them, but all these years I've been looking forward to someday the MCU doing their own new take on the X-Men. And then as soon as, in Multiverse of Madness, when we saw Patrick Stewart as Professor X, I was like, okay, that's fun because they're in an alternate dimension, and so okay, that's where he is. And then when Kelsey Grammer showed up as Beast, I was like, wait, what? Are they just directly
Hmm.
pulling these guys in instead of doing their own thing? And that seems like a big waste to me. Um,
I I
Go ahead.
highly doubt that that's going to be the case. Like, I would bet money that this version of Wolverine and or any versions of any other X-Men that we see in Deadpool and Wolverine are actually the X-Men that will be in the MCU moving forward. Like, I honestly, I feel like this is Disney and Marvel kind of having their cake and eating it too. I mean, we see right in the trailer that this is, it looks like anyway, Deadpool traveling to a different dimension or universe in order to recruit this version of Wolverine, which, at least based on the trailer, I feel like is probably even a different Wolverine than we have seen in the previous Fox Wolverine movies. But I
Well,
feel like this is, oh, go ahead.
that was never just one Wolverine either. Like,
Well, that's fair.
so
But I'm just saying, I feel like this is a way for them to kind of drum up excitement. Everyone except Dave is excited to see Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine. But like, I would bet that this, at least to a large extent, is going to be kind of like a one-off self-contained story, which will probably open the door for them to like introduce whatever version of the X-Men they want to move forward with in the future. But I really don't think this is it. I feel like this, I mean, if nothing else, the X-Men coming into the MCU is such a big deal that I just don't think they would do it through a Deadpool movie.
Okay. So you think you're envisioning like this movie is going to be more like him maybe meeting various X-Men teams from different universes, but not the one we're going to finish with?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like, I would bet probably not a large amount of money, but I would bet money that that's the case. Like, I don't think we are going to meet the official MCU X-Men in this movie.
Hmm.
and I think they're saying that the X-Men are the X-Men. These are the X-Men. They've been them all along.
I mean, it's even
I hope
within
I'm wrong.
like, well, like, I mean, going back to the Doctor Strange thing, like, canonically, the version of Professor X that appears in that movie is the one from the animated series.
That's not true.
It is true.
It's not canonically true.
Everything I've read says that he's got the yellow wheelchair. They play the little theme music when he
Yeah,
comes
but he
in.
dies in that movie. And then X-Men 97 starts and he's not dead.
I mean, it was before X-Men 97 was a thing. I'm just saying that they have played around with alternate universe versions of characters, so I think they're going to continue to do that.
Well, I
Yeah.
think maybe there's a lesson we can already take from this, which is maybe how they did Spider-Man, right? Which is like they made their own Spider-Man, they gave him his
Yeah,
story, but then they did highlight and show like the previous Spider-Man, they acknowledged them a little bit, but like they're
we
not
had three
going to be the
completely different
stars.
Spider-Men.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how I think they're going to handle this moving forward. Like, Hugh Jackman was a Wolverine, but I doubt he's going to be the Wolverine. And same for Kelsey Grammer as Beast and any other, X-Men characters we might see in this movie.
Yeah, I would hope that at least they're going to have a younger cast than that would and introduce them too. And that's like a whole nother side question we could go into here about like when they bring the X-Men in, whether it is in this film or a future property, do do they I guess maybe this is a bigger question. Do they need like the heavy hitters from the X-Men universe right away to make an impact with the X-Men coming into the MCU? Like, do they need a Storm and a Magneto, and like, do they need to bring those characters out first to have the maximum impact, or is it like something you would have them build to and maybe bring in like some B characters or like some B villains first? I don't know.
I think if they are doing if they aren't directly importing and they're going to have their own versions, then they have to address the idea of mutants. And are mutants going to be a new thing? Is it kind of like the Eternals, where for some reason they were there all along, even though we haven't met them yet, and they haven't been involved in these conflicts? Um, I I hope that they just make mutations and mutants just a new thing.
I
Although I
mean,
guess
Miss Marvel's
Miss
already a
Marvel
mutant.
is already a mutant.
Yeah, there's. I
Yeah.
was just gonna say Namor's labeled a mutant already.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
There's been a few, but
I mean, it's
uh,
tricky because I mean, Cody, you had said earlier that like for the past decade plus, they knew they could bring these characters in, but that's not true. They just bought Fox in 2019,
okay,
and the reason they couldn't bring these characters in was because Fox owned the rights to them still, and that's actually the reason that the word mutant was only just said in the MCU in Miss Marvel because Fox owned the word mutant, at least as it pertains to the Marvel characters. So I mean, to some extent, it sucks because the actual reason that it has not been a part of this universe until now is that, this legal situation.
yeah.
But I do agree that it will be kind of tricky to see how they address it as far as, are they going to try to make it seem like this is a thing that always existed, or are they just going to, I mean, I think honestly, well, I, I was going to say my instinct is that they'll, make it so that the mutants all come here from another dimension or another universe, which I was going to say, but then Miss Marvel, but also in Miss Marvel, her ancestors came here from another universe. So they could play it off that
Oh
way
shit.
that, mutants just haven't existed in, the prime universe or whatever they call it. And
Yeah.
now that the multiverse is a thing, they're coming through that way.
I mean, I suppose they could come up with some sort of like world-altering moment or event or something where like more genes turn on or something like that. Maybe people already had them. I don't know. It's an interesting concept to see how this is going to be introduced into all this. I'm excited for the movie. Joe, are you excited for Deadpool and Wolverine?
I am very excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. That's
Okay.
I mean, spoiler alert, it is the MCU property I am most excited about. I will also say one of the movies of this year I'm most excited about, but I mean, that largely has to do with, the existing Deadpool movies, which were released under Fox. I'm also honestly, I mean, it has to be said, this is going to be the first R-rated MCU movie. And I mean, they released, I guess red band trailers aren't even a thing anymore, but they released a trailer which had, swearing and gore and stuff in it, which I think was intended to kind of set people's minds at ease.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I am still curious to see how hard they're allowed to lean into the R rating. Did we see most of that stuff in the trailer, or are they really going to let them go for it?
10-minute sex scene to start the movie. Then the credits hit. Yes. Yeah, no, I'm intrigued by that
I
also. And
mean,
you're,
well, hold on. In this
yeah.
10-minute sex scene, is Wolverine or Deadpool the top?
Oh, that's not between them.
Oh, who wants to
No.
see that then? The
Well,
movie's
yeah.
called Deadpool and Wolverine, Code.
Oh, no, sorry. It's not with them. It's just two random people. The camera
Oh,
goes by real slow, and then you see like Deadpool like licking ice cream on the other side or something. You could write these movies yourselves. It's not too hard. Um, I no, I agree with you. That was so smart that they put that trailer out when they did already and had all the swearing in there just to kind of be like, listen, I think to like you said, kind of set people's minds at ease as far as people just wanting this to be a continuation of Deadpool. Because I do feel like, and I could be wrong, but I do feel like there is a definite portion of the population that was an MCU fan, may no longer be, but still is a Deadpool fan. Is that
it's
kind of where
me.
you're at,
Hi,
Joe?
I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah, I feel like that is a subset of people out there because there's a large contingency of people online that complain about the MCU movies being too woke and all these other things. But I feel like they see Deadpool as kind of like their line in the sand is like, if you fuck this up, then I'm out of here forever.
I will say my problem with the MCU is not that it's too woke. I don't want to be lumped in with that.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. It does beg a further question here though, of like how Deadpool fits into the MCU past this movie, like because you can't have a Avengers PG-13 movie and then Deadpool like dropping 25 F-bombs over on the side in the same scene where they're fighting somebody. So that'll be interesting, but they've had that problem a few times already, I feel like, with presentation as far as like we haven't well, we did see, I guess, Kamala Khan come back as Miss Marvel in the Marvels, and it was they did kind of keep a little bit of like her artsy style, like because that show just looked so different than the rest of the MCU. So we've
Yeah.
had different presentations, and how they integrate them is always very tricky, I feel like. But
Man, the more this episode goes on, the more MCU movies I realized I have not seen.
yeah, well, you should get on that. You and Joe should make a, or you and Dave should make a MCU Star Wars marathon with each other and just start hammering them out. Catch up on all the good stuff you've missed.
I'm sure
Uh,
that would strengthen our friendship.
Oh, it could only end super well.
well, maybe. I mean, you are both actively skipping Star Wars somewhat, are you not?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you have that bond. So there you go.
I did. I mean, I watched the first episode of The Acolyte and it was okay. I have not watched any more of it. We'll see if I
Uh,
do.
Justin
Um,
Justin thought I picked out episode 2. I preferred 1 to 2, but I thought 3 was better than both. So anyway,
oh, let me back to Deadpool Wolverine.
yes.
Since you guys are both bigger Marvel aficionados than I am, um, and I mean, this isn't really a spoiler because it's in the cast list and she appears in the trailer. How familiar are you guys with the character of Cassandra Nova?
I think I've heard the name, but I don't know who that is.
No, I don't know what that is either.
She is, I believe, going to be the villain of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh,
And
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know who the villain is.
uh, again, hopefully this isn't spoilery because it's been announced and it's on the Wikipedia page. She is the twin sister of Charles Xavier.
Twin
Dun, dun,
sister?
Really?
dun.
I never heard of this character. That's interesting.
I don't know that I know who that is either then.
So further kind of interesting to see how the repercussions that might have at the MCU.
Yeah. Interesting. 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 Well, why don't we tell you what? Why don't we stick with a couple of these movie ideas, and then I want to come back. Maybe let's do the next couple here, and then I want to just come back to like the big universe with some bigger questions here. But if we can leave Deadpool and Wolverine just to the side for the moment, is anybody excited about Captain America: Brave New World?
I'm excited about any Marvel movie, and it'll be nice to see the helm truly pass because I feel like they just kind of led up to that in on the show without really giving him the the full mantle and seeing him in action,
Agreed.
except for maybe the last episode.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that aspect of it. I don't know that I care for Anthony Mackie as like a leading actor. I think he
That's
works
racist.
well. I'm not being racist. That's just how I feel about the guy.
No, I agree. I mean, I am not at all excited about this. I'm curious about it.
Hmm.
I mean, just in general, it's hard not to, be curious to see what a Captain America who is not Steve Rogers looks like. The series Falcon and Winter Soldier, I don't think really did this movie any favors because it was god
Yeah.
awful. Um, I do agree with Dave that I mean, I don't really dislike Anthony Mackie. I thought he was good as the Falcon in a supporting role, but I don't know if I can
Yeah.
see him leading a movie, I guess is my thing. Um,
The
so
my
I
thing
mean,
I
I
just said.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I'm not very excited. I guess I'm more curious than anything. But what
Well,
about you, Cody?
this one's interesting because what I've heard about this, and again, I've actually done a pretty good job of not getting into spoilers with these, but what I heard about this like a year ago or so is that this is essentially Incredible Hulk movie that they've given the Captain America label to so as to not get into the rights problems with Universal again, because they still have the like weird thing with the Hulk, I think.
Really?
So
That's
this is an
weird.
adaptation. The villain is the leader who was made at the end of the Incredible Hulk movie a decade plus ago.
Yeah.
He's back as the villain, and he's a
Was he played by Tim Blake Nelson in that movie? I've
Yep.
never seen it.
yeah,
I do love him as an actor, so
and
that's a plus
he's
for this movie.
essentially like he's I think he's a smidge of an Avengers villain, but he's really just known as like a Hulk villain. So this is going to be interesting because they're throwing Captain America like not only into a Hulk story, but also like naming the movie after him. So that's kind of weird. Does look like there's a few characters from the Winter Soldier Falcon Winter Soldier TV show that'll be back in this one. We will also get our debut of Harrison Ford in the MCU,
Oh,
taking
it's General
over
Ross.
Thaddeus Ross, yeah. Which was who? Was it William Hurt before? Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad this time they cast it a little younger so that he'll stick around for a long time.
Oh no.
That's hilarious. And sadly, as if this wasn't not exciting enough, apparently Liv Tyler will be back as well in this one. So that's exciting too. One of my age-old nemesis is back yet again. So
Well, I guess I have to watch this movie now because I don't want to miss a thing.
but really you want to watch it because you know who else is in it? Giancarlo Esposito is coming into the MCU as well.
Let me guess, he's playing a villain.
Yeah, right?
I actually don't
I'm
know. It says to be
shocked.
confirmed characters, so I don't know who,
Okay.
but those are
I would love for him to just play like a genuinely nice guy.
just like a street vendor. Sells
Oh,
hot dogs.
Someone who's
that's
not
Bruce
Gus
Campbell.
Fring.
They already did that cameo.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Pizza Papa.
Pizza Papa. Oh my
Pizza Papa
goodness.
always gets paid.
So I don't know. This one sounds a little messy, but we'll see where this goes. It seems like I can't imagine the Deadpool and Wolverine movie is gonna flow into this one too much. So this kind of seems like it's its own thing at the moment.
Everything's its own thing at the moment. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, go for it, man.
They have cast a wide and shallow pool. Wait, I'm mixing my metaphors here, but I really feel like ever since Endgame, they've just started so many stories and done a poor job of circling back to almost any of them. Um, and even when you do, like, there's inconsistencies, like the Nick Fury that we saw in Secret Invasion, which, oh my God, we could just talk another hour on that, like we've already had before. But that Nick Fury was so vastly different from the Nick Fury in Marvels that was, it came out like a month later, and it just really highlighted the
Yeah.
inconsistency of the characters that we do see um when they happen to repeat. But characters like Shang-Chi, who debuted and we just haven't seen since, and I really wish they would stop doing so many origins and start, even if you're not doing so many crossovers, which I would love for them to do more crossovers, please. Show us more about these characters, because I feel like every time we see one, it's like, well, that was great. I'll see you again in 5 years or so. When we finally circle back around to this character again.
Now I agree with you, Dave. And he's a big fan of the movies and properties like you are. I do feel like it's a major issue, and they really went off the deep end as far as that like little post-credit scene idea they had with like, and we're going to introduce two new characters in this post-credit scene in this movie, and this movie, and this movie, and this movie. Remember Harry Styles is in this now, right? So with Charlize Theron, she's also in the MCU for 5 seconds, but she's there.
We had Blade say one line off screen.
Yeah,
So
from
that was
from an
fun.
actor who may not even be joining them anymore. So that's exciting. No, they have a
Make the
big
MCU great
problem.
again, is all I'm saying.
This is why we're skipping ahead a couple movies here, but this is why I had really hoped that Kang movie was going to work out for them because I had hoped he was going to be developed into like a Thanos level threat, but was going to like prove how dangerous he was by just like cleaning house and killing like 7 or 8 characters out of the MCU. I don't know if
Yeah.
those are like the really established ones or even like one of these cameos or two, but just clean up some. I mean, you're right, because this is, I don't have the podcast organized this way tonight, but we could talk about, didn't Doctor Strange like go to some dimension with a witch to try to do something? And isn't Shang-Chi, in the rings or something? And then we got the bands and this, and then we got, do you want to talk about the Eternals? Should we even drop that word in here? Holy cow, they got plots all over the place right now with,
I mean, you're forgetting about the most exciting development, which is Brett Goldstein as Hercules.
oh,
Yeah, shit, you're not wrong.
I try to block that movie from my mind altogether, but
Yeah, yeah.
You can try to get Russell Crowe's accent out of your head, but it will haunt you forever.
just picture him saying that one word now over and over. Oh, all his gladiator quotes I had are gone, just replaced by orgy, orgy. God. Yeah, so I'd hoped that movie was going to work out somehow, and then I don't know, the Secret Wars. I don't know if that'll be the movie Daredevil, will that be Avengers 6? I don't know if that's still the plan for that or not. And I'm not overly familiar with the comics on that one. Are you, Dave?
No, I'm not.
But I know like there was a toy line in the 80s and it was a big plot in the comic world where I think essentially like the heroes were like scooped out of the universe by some being and like placed into this like battle arena, and he made them like gladiatorially fight to the death, and like it killed a lot of characters off. So like that also could work
So
as
it
far
was
as
Thor Ragnarok, is what you're saying?
All their friends from
yeah,
work.
kind of, I guess, but like on a
Getting
grander
together.
scale, I think it was like not one-on-one. It was like armies just
I'm
attack,
just
I guess.
from my understanding of Secret Wars, that sounds right.
Well, Surtur's still out in space swinging some big weapon, so don't forget that too. There's no planet anymore, but he's still there, presumably. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But let's just highlight 2 other ones here quick. Let's talk about Thunderbolts, because these are all 4 of these, I guess, next movies are very different. But this is, I guess, for lack of a better term, has to be the Suicide Squad-ish movie of the
Yeah.
MCU, where we kind of have these characters that I feel like some of these are okay. Like Yelena, I think, has been fine in the MCU. I even liked Red Guardian, to be honest, and Black Widow. I thought he was a fun little character.
Yeah.
And Winter
Did you say
Soldier.
Yelena has been fine in the MCU?
Yeah, you think she's been better than fine?
I think she's been great.
Okay, great.
She's
Yeah,
like
I agree with that statement.
one of the few like true highlights of the past couple years of the MCU for me.
Okay. She was in Hawkeye, which is the best TV show they've made, so I'll stand on that hill still.
She was amazing in Hawkeye.
I'm right there
So
with
that's-
you on that hill, Cody.
It's about to be eclipsed, spoiler alert, but
Also-
we'll see.
I really enjoyed Hawkeye overall, which shocked me because I don't love Jeremy Renner.
He was delightful in
But
that.
I hope he's okay. Let me say that. I really hope his leg is okay, and I hope he's doing well.
Did that skewer you stepped on resemble a tiny arrow in any way? I'm just curious. Is that like a long-standing feud between Dave?
You son of a bitch. It was you.
Why do you have that? Was it for the joke?
I'm just holding a toothpick in my hand.
Oh.
I'm talking about the wooden skewer. and I was
Dave's
like,
working
oh,
for Renner.
now's
It-
my chance.
It looked like a skewer from like how close you had it to the camera. I was like, oh my gosh.
One of my all-time favorite internet memes, and I'm paraphrasing, so I might have it slightly wrong, but it's Jeremy Renner looks like a guy who worked at Dick's Sporting Goods who has granted many wishes. And it's true. It's 1,000% accurate. He's just like a guy.
Yep.
Anyway, Thunderbolts.
He's Jason Bourne. All right. Yeah, then we had some B characters here that were kind of not really explored a lot in their own movies. So we have Ghost from what would be Ant-Man and Wasp, I think that one was, which is a really interesting character, really kind of tormented and didn't
Yeah, I
get
liked her.
much of an arc, but escaped at the end. We'll see how this ties in. I'm also curious, like, is there gonna be a part of this movie where they're like recruiting these people, or has this Valentina Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character already like recruited these people? Like, where are we
I
gonna
think they've
start at?
shown her doing
Yeah. I
to
think
an
we get the
extent that
point.
we can fill in the blanks for any characters that wasn't explicitly shown.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen who Yelena and U.S. Agent, the fake Captain America,
Yeah,
John Walker, which
Oh boy.
I'm gonna have a hard time rooting for that guy, I'll tell you, no matter what's happening. But
yeah,
we'll
that's
see.
true.
And then Taskmaster, who is just, oh my God. I don't
I
know.
mean, former Bond girl, Taskmaster.
You take a beautiful lady and a super cool character from the comics and somehow make terrible, terrible nothingness out of it was sad. Um, and then the Sentry, the claims they're bringing in. Now it does. We don't know enough about this movie, as far as I know, at least spoiler wise. If this is Sentry is basically MCU's Superman. So I don't
Oh,
know if he is going to be the villain, and this is who they're sending these people in to fight, or if he is also part of the team and they are fighting someone else. I don't know.
Hmm.
This was supposed to be, what is the gentleman's name from Walking Dead? Stephen Young, was that his name or something like that?
yeah.
Glenn from The Walking Dead was supposed to
Glenn
be Sentry, and then the movie took so long he eventually quit, and they replaced him now, I guess, with somebody else, it sounds
with
like.
Bill Pullman's son, apparently.
What?
Lewis
This is
Pullman.
breaking
Yeah.
news to me. He is the son of actor Bill Pullman.
Interesting.
So we got Bill Pullman's son and Kurt Russell's son
Ah,
on a
Nepo
team
babies.
together.
There's something going on here.
Nepo babies.
Maybe we'll get a little wink from Valentina in the movie. The new team, the Sun team. Wink. Then we'll find out Florence Pugh is a guy. Bum bum bum.
How dare you?
Wink. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be like. I will say I have not seen the second Suicide Squad movie yet, but continuing to use that as a reference here. The first one had kind of a fun ensemble feel to it, but was an
What?
You should
absolutely terrible movie, is what
Okay,
I'm
You
saying.
should absolutely watch the second one
Yes, I agree with that.
and then watch all of Peacemaker because it's incredible.
Oh, Peacemaker is like fantastic, like so good. The first the first Suicide Squad movie, I turned off after about 5 minutes, and like I'm a person who usually when I start watching something, even if I'm not into it, I have to finish it. That movie was so fucking bad, I just couldn't do it. But
Do
the
we need to do
Suicide
do
Squad,
we need to do a
what?
ranking the DCEU films podcast
Oh
someday?
no, no, because I'm not watching all those.
You don't have to
Yeah,
watch them. You can
same.
just rank them.
That's fair. But I do agree with Dave that the Suicide Squad was pretty great, and Peacemaker is even better.
Okay. Yeah, anything else on Thunderbolts? Intrigue level on this one, yay, nay?
I didn't know much about it until just now. So I'm really glad to see kind of all these various threads being woven together. That makes me happy. I'm looking forward to that now.
Yeah, I'm probably more looking forward to this than most of the other things we might discuss. Largely because of the Russian contingent of David Harbour as Red Guardian and Florence Pugh as Yelena. I think they're both a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that, I mean, I don't expect this to have quite as over the top a comedic tone as Suicide Squad, but I'm hoping they balance the action with some comedy kind of throughout. I mean, it would be kind of a waste if they didn't work some humor in with these characters.
Well, this is kind of what I'm saying. Like these characters we haven't had developed as much, or some of them we have, but like Ghost, U.S. Agent John Walker, Taskmaster, like zero humor from those characters, negative humor from those characters in their respective shows. But
Yeah.
is it
Oh,
too
Jesus.
is it too about face for you if they like make this partially comedic now with those characters in there?
I
I don't
feel
know.
like, I mean, honestly, like you said before, to me, the kind of like hardest sell here is U.S. Agent John Walker. Like, I do not want anything to even try to get me to like be on his side or root for him. Like that, I hate that character so much, after what he did in Falcon the Winter Soldier. Like honestly, to me, best case scenario would be for him to like take a heel turn in this movie and, go from being on the team to being a villain or something, because
Yeah.
I just don't know how it works otherwise for me, but I guess we'll see.
I think I had heard a long time ago too, and I'm just saying this now, not 100% positive, but I think somebody said on some website that Winter Soldier's character might be there more or less to be like the guiding eye essentially of this team, like kind of keep an eye on them because he's now trustworthy, especially compared to a lot of these other people on the team. So
Yeah.
we'll see how he plays into that. But yeah, it'll be interesting also to see Bucky with like a new group of people.
Yeah.
And see how that all plays out. So okay, cool. And then last movie I guess I wanted to chat about here quickly tonight is a little ways off yet, but Fantastic Four, we've had some news that's come out about this, including the casting of the main family here. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, the Thing, Ben Grimm, and Human Torch. Johnny, what's his last name? Anybody know?
Storm.
Storm, thank you. I was doing that from memory. I didn't have all that, so thank you. And some interesting casting here as well. Everybody's favorite father figure, Pedro Pascal, is going to be Mr. Fantastic. How do you feel about that?
It's pronounced Daddy.
Is it? A capital D on that?
For a certain segment of our potential listenership, it's pronounced Daddy.
Oh, okay.
I like Pedro Pascal. I think he I think he has a lot of range. Like he has been in a lot of he's had a lot of like really interesting roles, and I think I can't think of anything I've seen him in where I felt like he didn't work, or that I didn't enjoy his performance. So even though he's not necessarily the first person that a lot of people would probably picture as Reed Richards, I think he'll do a great job in it. So excited about that.
Well, this at the moment, I mean, let's go back a step. So Fantastic Four, if you're listening, you don't really know. This is kind of, they're called Marvel's first family, but this is back in like the 60s. I want to say 63 is coming off the tip of my tongue for some reason. They were kind of like the first superhero family in comics and very tight-knit unit. We had brother, sister in there, obviously, with Sue and Johnny. And then we have, oh yeah, I said Sue and I didn't know Johnny's last name. That's funny.
Yeah.
And then we have the marriage, of course, with Reed Richards and Sue Storm. So they're a tight-lit unit here, but the IMDb page for this one, again, hopefully this is not going to ruin Dave's evening if I just mention who they have on here, but
It's okay. Go ahead.
okay, so they only have 9 people announced currently in the cast, okay? So Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby, my current background over here, as Sue Storm. Joseph Quinn, how did he get this job? What has he done recently that's famous? Come on. As Johnny Storm. Is in Stranger Things, right?
It's his mad guitar skills.
Mad guitar skills is Eddie from Stranger Things, so good use of him to make Launchpad off being in that for a season.
Good luck pronouncing the next name.
Eben Moss Bachrach?
Close enough. I think that's probably right.
As Ben Grimm / Thing. Okay, those are the 5 they have, or the 4 they have as the family. The other 5 they have on here are Paul Walter Hauser, who is one of my favorite actors.
He's good in everything.
David. I feel like I've heard in the last month like 10 new films that he's going to be in.
He's everywhere, man.
You need a fat guy? Call Paul Walter Hauser.
If he is not playing, it doesn't say who's playing, but if he's not playing the mole man at the beginning of the film, I'll be shocked because they need a chubby guy who lives underground with mole people. So then we get into Natasha Lyonne. No character listed. John Malkovich. No character listed. Julia Garner from what's the show? Ozark. As now, this has got some people upset. As Shala Ball, who is essentially
Silver Surfer,
the female version of Silver Surfer, but apparently in some comic lines, she's like the wife of Silver Surfer instead. Or I don't know the full details on that, but really interesting casting choice there because I only picture her swearing every 3rd word currently. So that's kind of fucking interesting. Fuck. And then we have, I don't know this actor, maybe you guys know this, Ralph Ineson. Is this somebody I'm supposed to know?
He was on Game of Thrones, and he also played the father in The Vavitch, which is a great film.
I do recognize him now that I zoomed in on his picture. But they have him cast as Galactus so far here in the credits.
I believe he is at least speculated to mostly just be playing the voice of Galactus.
Oh, no, it's full motion capture. No, I don't know. But Wow, this film has a lot of repercussions, okay? Because we should say at the beginning here as well that this is a period film set back in
That's
That
right.
sounds
time.
bloody. What? Oh,
Took me half a second on that one. Um, how is this going to work exactly? Are they going to be from a different multiverse also? Or like their whole thing in the comic is usually they are protecting the Earth at any cost, and like sometimes against Galactus in particular, and Silver Surfer's thrown in there, and sometimes allied with them, sometimes as part of Galactus's stuff. But I don't know how this works if you're going to go back in time and place this in, say, like the 60s or whatever. I don't know what year this is supposed to take place in, but
the
uh,
poster or the like artwork they released makes it look like it's probably the 60s.
like retro, right? So it's
I mean, they could go full Captain America and have them,
That's what
have
I
their
was wondering.
adventures and gain their powers in the 60s and then disappear for some reason, only to reemerge later.
well, it can't be frozen in ice. We can't be lost in the quantum realm. What else could we come up with? We'll come up
Maybe
with something.
they're,
The negative zone, they use that. I don't think
who
they've used that
knows?
yet.
They could do a
Um,
Captain Marvel and just be out in space a lot.
Yeah, or they're just
uh,
like
they came back to Earth finally.
they tore a hole in space time and they're in some alternate universe and come back or
I
something.
think in the, I want to say in the comics, they're like astronauts, if I recall, who
Yeah,
like are flying through space and they get hit with some kind of radiation. That's how
that
they
is
each get their
true.
powers. So interesting cast on this, man. And then, so this is theoretically like a year after Deadpool and Wolverine, maybe just a smidge off that. But then you have like now the Fantastic Four who could be thrown into the MCU here as well. So a lot of people we could be adding into this world. Doesn't sound like we're subtracting a lot of people in the meantime. So this is about to get massive, which I think maybe was their plan heading into those two big Avenger movies to be like, we can one up Endgame with this, but I don't know.
But at what
Uh,
cost?
what cost? So you guys excited for Fantastic Four? Yay, nay? I will say I don't think they've ever been a particularly sexy hero team for people, though. This is the problem. They're well known, but I
Clearly,
don't know,
clearly you have not seen the Sony Fantastic Four movies
I don't think I saw the second one.
starring Jessica Alba and Captain America himself, Chris Evans.
I have
Right.
seen all of the Fantastic Four movies, including the 1994 Fantastic Four movie that was
Ooh.
horrible.
I
And
also
none
saw
of them
that.
have led me to believe that I would like this team at all. So we'll
Yeah, I
we'll see, I guess.
I actually enjoyed the two Sony movies, like as just like schlocky popcorn movies, but they were not really good movies. Um,
Wasn't there another one they released in there too with my girl I like, whose name I'm forgetting now?
can you
Or
be more
was
specific?
or has their
Kate
own?
Kate Mara?
Yeah.
Yeah, fan that's Fan Force Stick.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
I'm
I haven't
sorry, say
seen
what
that
now?
one.
It's Fan
The
Force Stick.
the
They
Josh
like
Trank one.
replaced the A in the second A in Fantastic with a 4, and so everyone just called it Fantastic. Yeah, it's got Michael B. Jordan
Yeah,
as
man,
uh as Human Torch.
Oh wow, interesting.
I completely forgot about that
Oh,
movie.
it's awful. It's awful. I think it's like the lowest rated of them
Wait a second,
all.
Miles Teller as Reed Richards. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that movie has a 9% on Rotten
It says
Tomatoes.
on Wikipedia is often considered to be one of the worst films ever made. Wow.
Oh, it's amazing.
I have to watch this at some point.
As far as the 2025 version that's upcoming, this is my second most anticipated MCU property in the future. Mostly because of the cast. I mean, I love Pedro Pascal. I love Vanessa Kirby. I
You
feel
called her
like
Vanilla Kirby. A
Vanilla
little
Kirby.
slip, but we'll let it go.
I love Vanessa Kirby. I wish she was in more things. Like, I think she's just awesome, good at being a badass,
What do I know
Yeah.
her
criminally
from?
underused. She's been in some of the Missions Impossible.
Haven't seen those. Boring. What else you
She
got?
She was in
also
Hobbs
played.
and Shaw.
Definitely
I haven't
haven't
seen
seen
that.
that.
She is on The Crown. She played Queen Elizabeth's troubled sister for a couple seasons.
Oh my God, no.
Well, she's great, so you'll just have to find out in the Fantastic Four.
Oh, she was in Napoleon.
She was in Napoleon, which I
I didn't
haven't
see
seen
that.
yet, but I want to watch.
No, I didn't see that either. Is this a
Um,
Oh
rare
yeah,
person?
no, I
I
didn't see
haven't
it.
seen a single movie of hers.
maybe.
Wow.
But Eben Moss Bacharach is also pretty good in the things I've seen him in. I think he will be good as Ben Grimm.
Oh, she was in Jupiter Ascending. Haven't seen that either.
Nobody
Oh,
saw that.
that's I saw it in the theater.
Oh
It
God.
was
Was that the
it was
Wachowskis?
awful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Truly, truly horrible.
No, I haven't seen a
man.
single thing she's in.
Anyway, I'm excited about the cast and I'm excited about the period setting. The first Captain America, the first Avenger is still one of my favorite MCU movies, largely because of its period setting.
Okay.
And I'm really hoping that the poster they released for Fantastic Four is indicative of both the setting and kind of vibe that they're going for because it looks like it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's
Well,
definitely. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's the same. The director of that is the showrunner for WandaVision, Matt Shackman. So I think you can count
Okay.
on good
Nice. I didn't know
retro
that. That's
vibing.
awesome.
Yeah, that show did a great job with it. So hopefully this will be also. I'm excited for this one as well. Most definitely. I don't know, past that, movies, if we need to chat about anything else. TV shows, I was only going to really mention Agatha since it's the only one really coming up here. Is anybody excited for Agatha all along? Besides my daughter, she probably is.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll watch it, but
Do you think it's going to be a musical?
I hope that it is. I hadn't heard that, but I love when these series kind of take on their own genre, their own style,
Yeah.
instead of just being like 100% cookie cutter. So if it is a musical, that'd be fantastic.
I don't know if it is or not. I just know they did the one song. It was a huge hit. So this one I will say in particular feels really weird to me because A, I didn't think we ever needed a TV show with this character. B,
Yeah.
they kind of left her in a weird spot at the end of that TV show. And C, this feels even weirder now that supposedly, at least, Wanda is dead from the Doctor Strange movie. So it seems weird that like a supporting character from her show is now like getting a show. I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess it's not different than Captain America himself now, but still, I don't know. It feels different. Like this is just not a character we needed anything from, I don't think.
How dare you?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
I love Catherine Hahn. Like she's one of those people that like anytime she pops up in something, she's usually pretty great and I enjoy seeing her, but I like the character in WandaVision. Oh boy.
whoa. With the
He's
dark hold right there.
Dave
holding
has been hanging out with Agatha all
my Agatha
along.
minifig.
Is that from a set or is that from a single pack?
It's a part of their collector series.
Nice. This guy.
But yeah, I mean I liked the character in WandaVision. But every great side character does not need to become a leading character. I mean, it's the same thing we kind of said with like Anthony Mackie as Falcon. He's great in that role, but I don't know if he can carry a movie. I don't know if Agatha needs to have an entire series centered around her. Oh my God.
What? Oh, there it is.
I got Captain America here too, with wings
You got all the fun friends.
and a really, really stupid helmet that
Hmm.
doesn't protect his head at all.
It's true.
It's to protect his secret identity, Dave.
Yeah, sure.
Just doesn't
His
have
secret identity is Dave? I thought it
Yeah.
was Sam.
just doesn't have a face to hide it, but it's not a well-designed one. I don't know what the plot of this one's supposed to be either. No clue. We mentioned
I
I
would
think
love for it to be, just based on the title alone, I would love for it to be them showing how all throughout the MCU, every like plot hole has been they're just answering plot holes by
Oh,
like,
that would be hilarious.
Agatha was in the background working her magic.
That would be kind of great.
Agatha all along, the whole MCU.
Every episode ends with her doing the wink.
Yep.
That would
Okay, I'm
actually be
sold
really
now.
funny.
Listen, if it's that, I am like more excited about this than anything.
That is funny. Yeah.
Apparently, Aubrey Plaza's in this show.
Yes.
Can't
Looks
have
like
Spooky without Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, right.
Shazir
Surprised Jenna
Zamata.
Ortega's not in there too.
Oh, I've got a like a 2 sentence premise. Should I read it?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Agatha Harkness finds herself powerless after breaking out of her containment in Westview, New Jersey, following the events of the series WandaVision. She looks to some unlikely allies to join her on her quest to regain her former powers.
Okay. So is it, I don't even know, is the show set in present day or is
I
it back in the day? I don't even know
I
that.
think so. I think it's post WandaVision.
Okay.
Yeah, if she's escaping from her confinement, I would assume that means it's like present day.
Okay. I barely even remember the end of WandaVision. Wasn't there some business with like actual Salem witches back in the day, or was that not part of the show? Am I imagining
There
Yeah,
that?
was
yeah, there was.
There was,
something
okay.
about that, yeah.
Okay. Huh. Okay.
Anyway,
Well, I lied because I also need to talk briefly about Daredevil Born Again, which I'm so excited for. Oh my God, you guys. I love the Daredevil shows on Netflix so much. Oh my God. I'm so excited.
that makes one of us.
Yep.
What are you guys talking about? What do you not like about those shows?
So
The
you
good
go,
plot, the amazing hand-to-hand combat,
Dave, you go first.
Some of the fight scenes in the first season were cool.
the great
That's
cast.
that's the entirety of what I have to say about the things I have to say about the Daredevil series.
Wow,
Did
I
you?
think I'm higher on it than Dave is.
Go for it.
I mean, I really liked the first 2 seasons, but then it just fell apart for me. And like, honestly, even if the entire series had been amazing, that doesn't mean that I need them to bring it back.
Cody, I'm curious about this. You know how Daredevil,
Yeah.
appeared in quite a bit of She-Hulk
Yeah.
towards the end there, and now those two, have something of a relationship going. Do you think that I think it worked well for him to be on her show and for his character to get like somewhat of a lighter comedic tone,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it'll work in reverse for her to be on his show, especially if she's like breaking the fourth wall, like she
Do
is able to do.
do we know that she's going to be? I honestly kind of assume that they were just going to ignore the She-Hulk of it all.
They could. I think that would be weird.
Smart. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting because they, for a long time with this one, didn't have Foggy and Karen back, and then they finally did cast and get them back in the show as well. So, um, I
Am I
don't know.
wrong? Didn't they like basically like shoot at least much of this season and then scrap the whole thing and start over?
Yeah. I
That's
think they
that doesn't
they
seem like
shot
a good
multiple
sign.
episodes and then started it all over again. I've heard a number of reports about like the number of episodes has been extended and now it's cut
Yeah, that's one all
and
over.
all kinds of shit going on.
Um, I'm excited. I think
We will kill that excitement. We will burn it out of you.
if they do this correctly, this has a real shot to pass Hawkeye as my top show in the MCU official, just because I love the Netflix show so much. I even liked well, not the whole season of Luke Cage, but I liked a lot of Luke Cage. I really liked the vibe in that show though, with the music and like the Harlem culture and everything
I
there.
like Luke Cage.
I thought the villain, not the villain, not the superhero villains, but like I don't remember the character's name, but the like one that was running the town was a really interesting, devious character. I really liked
Is that
her.
Copperhead? Am I making that up? There was someone named Copperhead in that, I think.
Yeah, Diamondback and Copperhead, maybe. I don't know. They both
Yeah.
had like names, but
I mean, I think what
um
Cody's really excited for is for Disney to bring Iron Fist into the MCU.
so Danny Rand, I need your glowing fist. Looking for my heart. I don't know if I don't have they said anything on that? Have I missed that? Like, are those characters supposed to be coming back too, or is it just Daredevil?
I
It's Jessica Jones coming back?
I actually think I have heard that Jessica Jones is coming back.
Okay.
I Disney has made many missteps. I really don't think they're dumb enough to ever bring Iron Fist back into audiences' lives.
You don't
but
know
I
how
guess we'll
dumb they
see.
are. Don't you tell them.
I mean, at least without like, several more years of time passing and a hard recasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
they brought back Black Bolt from Eternals.
that's true.
They'll dig up any grave. They don't care.
That's true.
That's fair.
Speaking of, didn't this is not Daredevil related, but didn't I hear that Jennifer Garner was playing Elektra in some
Oh
movie
yeah.
here too? Is she in Deadpool?
She's
It's
in Deadpool.
Deadpool and Werewolf. I
She
fucked
is
it
in
up.
Deadpool and Werewolverine.
Deadpool
I've
and
been waiting this
Werewolverine.
whole time for you to just call it Deadpool again, so that I could correct you, and then I called it Deadpool and Werewolf.
Which, I mean, that actually raised, well, actually, no, I was going to say that raises the question of will we see Ben Affleck's Daredevil, but
That's actually who the no show is about. They just
I
didn't tell us
don't,
that.
I don't think you would get the two of them to appear in the same property these days.
Kevin Smith could do it if anybody could.
Uh,
But yeah. Anyway, this one will be fun for me. I hope this one's great. I don't know how many
I hope
episodes
it
the
is
final
too,
count is,
Cody.
but I hope it's good. I really liked, like I said, most of the Netflix stuff, including The Punisher. I don't know if people are split on The Punisher or not, but I thought his shows were excellent both seasons. That's me. So
Never watched it because I don't like John Bernthal.
really,
Uh,
He
I
was
actually
like,
did. I actually did like that one. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I should give it a chance. I only really know him from The Walking Dead, and I did not like him on that show.
that's fair. I will say it's probably the most hyper violent show they have, probably even more so than the Daredevil early seasons. But I
Yeah.
Well,
thought
that was my other. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I always thought he was maybe of all the depictions I've had of Marvel, like the one that maybe has shown me the best version of like PTSD on screen.
Hmm.
So I always
I,
thought that was good.
I mean, with like the Daredevil, like part of I think what made the Netflix series stand out is how violent it was able to be because it wasn't at the time really beholden to, Disney's MCU kind of rules.
Yeah.
Um, and now that they're bringing like ostensibly that version of Deadpool to Disney Plus and I mean not Deadpool, Daredevil to Disney Plus and the MCU, like I doubt it's going to be have the same tone. Like I doubt it's going to be nearly as dark and violent as the Netflix version. So I mean, how do you feel about that?
Um, I guess we'll have to see how that plays out. I don't know. I mean, I do think that a lot of the joy I got from that show was just how like dark and depressing it was at times. Like it really oozed that, sense of religion was in there, family abandonment was in there. Like there was all these different kind of really dark themes mixed up in a blender, and I think that's why I like the show so much. So if it couldn't go fully that route, then
I mean, now he's got a wacky giant green girlfriend. So
it could have been a one-off. I don't know. You never know. Two off. I don't know. I don't know. It's a great question. Um, in his show, also, I believe probably will bring back Kingpin, who
Yeah.
we saw from Echo of all series,
yeah,
taking
I think that's
over
confirmed.
New York, trying to run as the mayor. So if he is now the mayor of New York in the MCU, that's going to be interesting how that could tie in this show to other things that are out there as well. So, I mean, so much of the MCU is based in New York, so good time in Spider-Man and several of these other things. Anyway, yeah, okay. Let's see. Any other individual properties you guys want to chat about here quick? I just got a couple bigger concept wrap-up-y type stuff here.
Uh, this doesn't have much to do with. This doesn't answer your question, but I did want to share a real quick story. A couple weeks ago, my mom said, "Oh, you'll be proud of me. I watched a Marvel movie the other day," and I said, "Oh, that's great. Which one?" She said, "It's called Madam Web."
Oh no.
She's like, "Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good."
She's gonna be in the multiverse. I haven't seen that actually yet, but
I
I
wonder.
hate watched it and it was incredible.
really, oh man.
Yeah.
I see. I was curious about it because I heard it was so bad, but like I've heard that it is just truly awful, like not even awesomely bad, just like a terrible waste of time.
It's not fun bad.
That's what I've
I
heard from
thought it was
several
fun
people.
bad.
Barely
But
even down bad. Okay, just making sure.
Oh, anyway,
anyway,
that raises a question though. I mean, because there is still this weird rights thing with Sony. How much money do you think Marvel has offered Sony at this point to just like buy all the rights? Like that has to be a discussion that they've had, right? And like it's wild to me because Sony keeps cranking out these movies, which aside from Venom, I think have all bombed horribly at the box office. And
Hasn't
to
been a good
me,
track record.
like it seems like to me it would probably make more financial sense to them to just take like I would assume the number has to be like in the billions from Marvel to just like fully relinquish the rights to these characters. It's just weird.
I feel like it's not, except for Spider-Man, I feel like it's not even about the characters. At this point, it's about people like my mother thinking that they're watching a Marvel movie. They watch a piece of shit and then they go, "Oh, I guess
Well,
Marvel
yeah.
movies are actually pretty shit."
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's I mean, yeah, that is definitely part of it. They're like, tainting the Marvel name because they technically I think these movies do still say like Marvel something on the front of them
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're using these Marvel characters. Like it's
It's like in association with Marvel, I think is
yeah.
the exact wording.
So like I imagine that Disney has to have like tried to back up a dump truck full of cash and
Yeah.
I mean I'm kind of hoping that in the next year or two that might finally work if Craven the Hunter is not a massive box office success.
It's good to get my money. I know that. No,
But
probably not, but
it's just a
maybe.
bizarre situation that there's literally this I think it's officially called like the Sony universe of Marvel films or something like that. It's like this weird bizarro Marvel universe that nobody wants.
See, that could be a fun little Easter egg if they're like multiverse hopping in Deadpool and they like just looking at the Sony one, they're like, nah, fuck that, and they just keep going. Oh my God. That's funny. All right, well, last things I was going to mention here overall, I guess one, we have to maybe go back to this for a second. We did mention it earlier, but what you're the guy who is Feige technically the person in charge of all things Marvel?
Yeah.
Is he answering to anybody? It's just him.
I
So,
mean, to like Bob Iger, but other than that, no,
all right,
he's head of
You're
Marvel.
Bob and Kevin, and I don't mean minions from Despicable Me. What do you do with the Kang situation? How do you dig yourself out of this hole as best you can at this point?
I think they kind of quietly ended it with Loki season two, or I think they very well could have because they it was almost like uh sorry, I'm not saying this well. I believe they said like, oh, one of the kings popped up, but somebody on this timeline, meaning Ant-Man, took care of him, and we'll just keep an eye out for this guy in the future.
Hmm.
Like, I don't, I don't think that's what they will do, but I think they could get away with just saying like, oh, kings, not a problem anymore.
I think I kind of forget from time to time that we also have like Loki holding the threads of reality together as well, someplace. So,
Forevermore.
Spoilers, I still have not seen Loki season two.
what? Oh my God.
I need to before Deadpool and Wolverine because it looks like the TVA plays a major role in that, at least based on the
Well,
trailer.
spoiler
But
for you, Loki season two was good like season one was. So there's that.
I've heard, I mean, I want to watch it. Like that is not something that I've purposely not watched because of my apathy toward the MCU. I just have never got around to it, but I will.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The second season is
Um,
fantastic.
I mean, and honestly, I also have not seen Quantumania, so I really don't know much about the King situation aside from what happens at the end of
Oh, I
Loki
just
season
spoiled
one.
everything for you, didn't I?
That's
Sorry.
also a movie.
I don't care. It's fine. But I mean, I think honestly, like from what I know of it, what Dave said is probably the best way out. Just kind of don't acknowledge it again.
Just kind of let it go.
I think what they might end up doing is recasting Kang. Like, I feel like that's the only other thing they can do.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, either they have to recast him, just kind of let him go, or do they just replace him with somebody? Can they come up with like I thought early when the Jonathan Major stuff was kind of hitting the fan, I heard maybe some speculation that they were going to use like another big bad to like kind of step in and just very quickly take his place. Doctor Doom was mentioned very frequently, knowing Fantastic Four was down the pipeline someplace, but I almost don't want them to like rush one of their remaining huge villains just to kind of fix this situation. But also, I don't know what they're
Okay,
planning to do with those Avengers movies.
I think I just solved it. Hear me out.
Yeah.
So we bring in yet another legendary comics property into the MCU
Oh boy.
and make it Avengers colon the Krang Dynasty and bring in the Teenage
Ooh.
Mutant Ninja Turtles. Boom. Problem
Love
solved.
it.
Mind's blown.
Love
That's
it.
good.
That would get my ass in a theater so fast.
Avengers
Yeah.
just
Oh
chasing the
man.
Terradrome around. I love it.
Somebody just punches Kang so hard his brain falls out of his head. And that is Krang.
Boom.
Yeah.
And
See?
that's the new villain.
Yeah. It's great.
Disney, feel free to send me some money. I'm available, so reach out, make an offer.
We will put some extra tags when we get this out there for the media for sure. Oh my gosh, that's not too bad actually. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is really a problem. I feel most people don't feel bad for Disney, but I feel bad for Disney that they're stuck in this situation of situation that's not necessarily
Yeah.
their doing. So
I mean, I feel more bad for Jonathan Major's victims. Just have to say that.
sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it does suck, for Disney to have kind of put themselves in this corner. I mean, honestly, I feel like at this point they need to just stop announcing new things, especially like so far out. I know that like people
Hmm.
get excited over it, but like especially over the past few years, they've moved so many things around and like either canceled or like I would bet that at least a few of the things we have, you know, briefly mentioned today may not come to fruition. Um, I feel like they have gotten into this pattern of like trying to create excitement by announcing, their next 10 plus things that they're making. And it just seems like a bad idea at this point.
I mean,
Wait until you're at least in production on something
it's an
to
interesting
announce
idea.
it.
You think they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot by doing that?
I think so. I also think that would maybe help stem the problem of people feeling like there is just too much Marvel content coming out.
Hmm.
I think part of it is like not only all the stuff that actually has been released and is being released, but like knowing that there's this huge slate of upcoming things. It's just overwhelming.
I mean,
And
your
I feel
production idea is
like,
not bad if because some shit's going to get leaked all the time. But
yeah,
if you were going to have it in production, then
if we know, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know if this is the time to get into it, but I mean, I think my biggest issue with the MCU overall is that it just doesn't really feel special to me anymore.
well, that's my last point I have. So let's hit it.
All
Public
right.
perception. What can Marvel do, or do they need to do to bring fans back?
Make the MCU feel special again. It's the same thing with Star Wars. There's just too much all the time. Back in the day, we would get like 1 to 2 movies per year, and that was plenty. And it feels like now, especially with the series being in the mix, it's just, I mean, I know Justin has talked about this at various points on the podcast too, much as I hate to mention his name, that bastard. But it just feels, I mean, it feels like homework, it's like, it feels like if you don't watch these 5,000 things, then you're just gonna be lost or you're falling behind. And it just doesn't feel fun to me anymore.
Hmm.
I did recently screenshot something here that's I was talking about Blade getting another new director and being on a new rewrite, and It said, according to an insider with knowledge, getting Blade right is much more important than getting the film out. The pressure to produce as much content as possible has been lifted, and the studio is now looking to release just 2 films per year, which gives the team at Marvel Studios some breathing room. And I think that sounds like a good approach. As much as want, I want a lot of content. I've been very happy with the quantity of content available, and I was previously bitching about how it's too long in between when we see a character again. But I agree with this approach in general because I do think it will, if they slow down, if they focus on quality instead of quantity, then you won't have shit like Love and Thunder or Quantumania, where the fans are really just saying that the quality has gone down so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth noting. I know you mentioned Bob Iger before. And I mean, I know I've heard people question some of his more recent decisions, but Bob Iger was in charge of Disney during like kind of a golden era when they started, turning things around and making good animated films again.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was in charge for the first several years of the MCU when things were good.
Yeah.
I just looked, it looks like he stepped down in 2020 and was succeeded by Bob Chapek, um, who he really, I mean, a lot of people pointed to him. Bob Chapek was the guy who like really put the pressure on to just start cranking stuff out and,
Yeah.
quantity over quality. And that's kind of, and I mean, they're still kind of dealing with a lot of the like, choices he made. A lot of things were announced under his tenure that are in various states of production, or Disney still trying to figure out what to do with those things.
I recall that guy was also instrumental in the like pushing of the Disney Plus stuff so much as well.
Yeah,
Mm.
I
Like he
believe
was
that
like
is
drive
true.
content, get subscribers, drive content, get subscribers.
Yeah. But I believe Bob Chapek actually got ousted by the board because
I
he
think
was
that's right.
making these terrible
Yeah.
decisions,
Yeah.
and they brought Bob Iger back. So I mean, that's probably a big part of why, the quote Dave just read is happening, and they are hopefully starting to focus more on quality versus quantity. And I mean, I hope that happens. Like I used to love the MCU. I hope I can love it again. I just feel like over the past few years, it just hasn't felt as special and magical as it once did.
Yeah, let me ask you just specifically, Joe, do you feel like you could get that feeling back or not? Out of curiosity. Like let's say the Deadpool and Wolverine's great. Next year they release only 2 movies. They're great. At that point, are you like, all right, the MCU is back? Or are you like,
I think they could win me back, but I mean, it would have, there it would have to be like the quality would have to return, and like the movies would have to feel special again. I mean, to me, like what made phase, especially phase one of the MCU so special is that for the most part, they were movies about characters that I cared about, or they made me care about the characters. And we knew that they were leading up to, the Avengers, but with a couple exceptions, it didn't feel like, the overarching team up phase ending movie was like forced shoehorned into all the individual movies.
hmm,
They were allowed to tell stories and develop characters that the audience could care about. And Nick Fury shows up at after the end credits, or there are these little seeds being planted hinting towards a larger team up. But I feel like where it started being problematic for me is at a certain point, it felt like they started getting so obsessed with trying to tie everything together that they stopped telling stories about characters that I cared about because they were trying to do all this work to bring everything together, to have the big final movie at the end of the phase. Like what gives me hope about Deadpool Wolverine is I hope that I'm right that it will be kind of a one-off, there may be some seeds planted that have repercussions further down in the MCU. But I'm really hoping it's just a fun movie with these two characters having a buddy cop adventure together. And I mean, same with Fantastic Four. Like, I hope that that is just a fun period movie that tells its story, and will obviously those characters will come back at some point, but I don't really want to have to worry too much about that. I just want to have that adventure for now.
Okay. So he likes the opposite type of Marvel movies that you like, Dave, just to be clear. It's like
I
everything
think we've
needs to be
established
tied
that.
in. Yes,
I think
everything
we've
needs to be
established
I
tied
that.
mean,
in.
let me be fair. Like, I liked at least most of the Avengers movies that have happened,
I was
but
just going to ask you, did you enjoy Endgame and Infinity War?
yeah, I mean, I like the first Avengers movie. I loved Infinity War and Endgame. I
Okay.
mean,
Do you say
Endgame was one of the greatest theatrical experiences I've ever had. Like, I had tears in my eyes during like the big climactic scene just because it was so like astounding that all these characters were on screen together. Like, I felt like an 8-year-old again, like it was
yeah?
amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Do you just hate James Spader? Is that what you're saying?
yes,
Okay.
no, maybe. But I mean, I think you can build towards these like big, massive, amazing event team up moments without having that overwhelm everything else along the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think
I
it.
think you can have like more individual, episodic, character based movies that plant these seeds that will pay off in the long run, but that are not like just overtly cramming it down your throat that like everyone's going to team up at some point.
Well, you should definitely watch Quantumania. It's a really good movie.
I don't know if I believe you.
Bill Murray's in it. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of one of the things I wondered about this whole experiment where they're at right now with the MCU is like, will we ever have the audiences feel like they have another Iron Man or another Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't know. I don't think anything's like, to me, the three movies I kind of measure this whole thing on are Iron Man because they tried something wacky with a character most people probably didn't know and it was successful. Guardians of the Galaxy because they like proved that the franchising was so strong they could pluck this really random team out of nowhere and make it work. And then Endgame, of course, for like the stuff that went into building that. But
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I feel like what made Iron Man work so well was Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. He gave a great performance. You really cared about that character. And I mean, same thing with the Guardian. I mean, the interesting thing to me about the MCU is that a lot of the characters were not ones that, a lot of us really loved in the comics when we were growing up, or that were even necessarily on a lot of, just general movie going public's radars.
yeah,
I mean, the Guardians are probably the biggest example of that. Nobody knew who the fuck the Guardians of the Galaxy were, but the movies made us care about these characters, by being well cast and well acted and well written and well directed. And that's what I would love to see more of. And I feel like over the past couple of years, that has kind of fallen by the wayside just for the sake of cranking out, more content versus more quality.
I think it's fair criticism. Absolutely. The I don't know. I worry about like just it's interesting because in comics, I feel like it's fantastic when they have 120 characters, but when you do it in the movies, it's A, providing you with chances to do such amazing things such as Endgame, but then B, like you're like, well, wait a second, I haven't heard from like these 90 characters in real time 6 years now. So what's going on with all those people?
Yeah.
Like it's just too many people. Plus, like, I don't know, I get sad when it happens, but I maintain they need to kill some of these people off here and there more than they do too. No bitch deaths like Iron Man, Captain America, whatever. Those were great, but I don't know. You can't just continually add without ever subtracting, I think, either. I don't know. Whew. All right. Anything else Marvel related here we didn't touch on today, gentlemen? Good discussions here. Dave, you got any closing thoughts in there?
No, I'm feeling good.
Okay. Joe, any last thoughts we didn't get to?
I don't believe so.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm just going to break our usual outro today with a simple question for each of you. So, as we know, the next movie is Deadpool and Wolverine, comes out here in about 3 weeks, give or take, from the time this will probably drop. Joe, if you could have anyone, and I'm going to leave this open to be either a character or an actress, show up as a cameo in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, who would you choose? And Dave, you're going to have the same question. So if you need a minute to think about those,
I like you making Joe go first.
could be a pre-existing character from within the MCU, could be somebody from a different superhero movie or property that's showing up, or it could just be somebody from who knows where, in character or just as the actual actor or actress. And while you do that, I'm going to speculate on what the hell are they going to do with Galactus. They can't ruin this. I thought Galactus was going to be the end of the MCU and it was finally all said and done, and they're bringing him in now. What's happening here? Oh my God, he's the devourer of worlds, people. Oh, everybody together versus Galactus. That's your money movie right there. What are we doing? Who are we saving for the end of all this? Doctor Doom? Fisto? I don't know what we're doing. Magneto? I guess he'll be in the mix now too. Man, Joe, do you have your answer?
I do.
Okay.
And just because I would really love to see Cody's reaction to this. This is something that was actually heavily rumored for a while, but
Don't you dare.
I have read recently is apparently not true, much to my disappointment.
That's what they want us to think.
I want Taylor Swift as Dazzler to show up in this movie.
Absolutely.
And I want her to say the fuck word just to make Cody even more angry because apparently Cody hates when Taylor Swift swears because he's a misogynist. Thank you and good night.
I'm not going to top that answer.
I don't think it's gonna be hard. Go ahead.
I think that's fantastic. I would love to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. come back for some kind of cameo in Deadpool because that show was fantastic and it really got the shaft, and for them to bring it back in any kind of jokey way, I think would be a lot of fun. Plus, it's Coulson. People would recognize Coulson and have
Everyone
some
loves
fun
Phil.
with.
You gonna bring the whole cast back or just Phil?
I think at least Phil, but I would love for them to bring as much of the cast as they can. I
Oh
thought
my
that show was
God.
so good, and I don't see it ever coming back in any kind of real way, so might as well do it in a joke way.
That's a good choice. Those are both good choices. I didn't post any pictures on social media because I didn't want to get any flack from anybody from my Funko Pop outing that I went to the other day. But I will say the centerpiece that I went out there for was I was meeting a guy running the event who sold me a Daisy Johnson Quake figure from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Funko Pop.
Awesome.
She was the 235th and final character I needed from the MCU represented in Funko form. So
Holy
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
Holy shit.
Oh my God.
very worried for what will happen with this Deadpool and Wolverine movie in my wallet. So there's that. Once they canonize all these people, I'm going to be up shit creek unless they make new ones. My gosh. Anyway. All right, everybody. Well, it sounds like we're all super excited about Deadpool and Wolverine at the very least. We'll see where the MCU goes from there. Joe has on his Agatha t-shirt today, so glad to see he's supporting that already. Very exciting. And we'll catch you all next time on Friends Occasionally Not Disagreeing. This has been Cody. That's Dave. That's Joe. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, fondlings and fondlers. This has been another episode of Friends Occasionally Not Disagreeing, your favorite podcast. It's most people's favorite podcast, or at least so my mom tells me. You can check us out all over the place online at our homepage, www.fondpod.com or fondpodcast.com. You can also check us out across your social media sites, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your streamed podcast. Thanks so much,